Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with Anton Torres from Fantasy Flight Games, looking at a prototype, non-finished version of the new edition of Runebound.
Yes.
Designed Lucas Litzinger.
Yes.
Being shown at Gen Con 2015, due out in Q4 2015, and hoping to get an overview here. I assume people might want to know what's new.
There you go.
Why is this a new edition?
Well, Runebound is a seminal title for Fantasy Flight. It's the setting. In which Descent, Journeys in the Dark takes place. Rune Wars, Rune Age, of course, Runebound, and in that library of titles that are set in the world of Terranoth, an adventure game is just a requirement. This is a classic adventure game, and in the style of Runebound, we have a hex map. It's all new artwork, of course, but you will find familiar characters just beautifully rendered. And then we have beautiful new minis, which are in the booth. I don't have them here. We just have resins.
This is a tease.
Very fragile. This is a tease. The game is finished, but is currently in production, actually being printed. So what is new? Well, you wander around the map. You take control of one of 6 different characters in the game. Okay. So here are 2. These are, again, familiar to those who know Descent and know Runebound. Mechanically, as you have a set of actions, right? You can move and you wander about wherever you would like to on the map. So it's very free-form in that way. There are points on the map where encounters take place. You can adventure on any of these sort of gemstone markers. There are little tokens that mark whether or not an adventure has taken place. Okay. And when you have an adventure, there are three different types. There is a combat adventure, which would be with the draw from the combat deck. There is a social, where you actually meet the denizens of Terranoth, and then there's you explore. So you actually explore into dungeons or locations on the map. Okay. Into these basic decks are shuffled cards that are specific to the scenario in play, and that's something that if you're familiar with Runebound, there are multiple scenarios, and essentially the narrative that unfolds is going to be specific to whatever is in place. So here we have the Corpse King, and the Corpse King is the return of Vorakesh, who's the undead lord, and sort of all of his skeletons and zombies sort of coming to life over turn after turn. So as you go have these sort of general adventures in Terranoth, you'll also reveal things that are unique to the narrative and that give you that emerging narrative. So none of this is new.
Okay.
So what is new? One of the things that is new, I'll jump right into it, is combat. In the old game, you were rolling dice, right? And in this game, you have combat tokens. So I brought a set. I actually stole this from a demo table.
While they were playing?
It's an unused character.
Requirements of work.
Right? This is a set of 3 combat tokens that one of the characters starts with. Okay. And these are double-sided, and each side has a different icon. And in fact, there's a large icon on one, and in the corner you'll see there's a small circle. It shows you, it reveals what is pictured on the alternate side. So when you enter into combat, you will take the tokens that you have in hand and you cast them down. That gives you a couple of things. The first is the number of gold icons is going to determine who has initiative in this round of combat. So whoever's the most gold icons will have initiative. If it is a tie, the attacker, which is the player character, would have initiative. And then very tactically, you and your opponent are going to spend those tokens to accomplish particular actions. Okay, so there's this little game where for the hero, you will cause damage with the axe. That will be physical damage. If you're a magic user, there's an icon for magic damage. The lightning bolt is surge and will trigger special abilities. Each character has certain abilities. For example, here, Elder Mock. For 1 surge, he can unleash spirit, and he'll test his spirit score and +1 to deal 1 magic damage for each success. Okay. So it'll just trigger abilities that are unique to your character or the equipment or the items that you have accumulated.
And naturally, you can acquire more of these during the game.
And you can. So this scrolls into a pool. So what that allows us to do is For example, there are certain items that you may find along the way and certain spells and abilities and upgrades, and those tokens add to your pool, and they just increase the number of options you have. So here, we cast these down. The shield will block damage when you're taking damage. And this one is interesting. That's called agility. It looks like a wing. When you spend the agility token, it allows you to either flip one of your tokens to its alternate side in preparation for some other action. So maybe it was a defensive icon showing, right. But here you may choose to switch it to an attack or vice versa, or trigger a surge. But spending an agility token, you can also cause your opponent to recast one of their tokens. So there's a little tactical back and forth, and once all of the tokens are spent, that completes an entire round of combat. And at that point, the hero, if they choose, can try and retreat. Okay. So let's say you're taking a lot of damage, or you're outclassed, you're facing a magical creature, and you're not ready to face a magical creature, then you would roll dice equal to you're given a number of dice that you would roll. So here, Elder Mock would roll 3. You would roll the 3 maneuver dice, 3 movement dice, and if you can maneuver out of your hex using these terrain symbols, right? If you can match terrain symbols, then you can actually just find your way out of that encounter and survive for another day.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what else.
Other new elements, yes.
Right. So the combat tokens. People that I know, some folks, like all elements of gaming, folks have preferences. So I know people that love to roll buckets full of dice, and I know other people that don't like rolling bucketfuls of dice. If you're at Gen Con, I hope you try this out. We're running 2 tables. It's a lot of fun, and it's just very, very fast and intuitive, and a clever way of making combat exciting, and really about out maneuvering your opponent with the actions that you're trying to take.
Okay, they're D2s.
They are D2s.
I mean,
but you can change. But you can manipulate the results. There's another die result. There's another token result that lets you double an action. But it's fun. I really dig it.
And then different feel.
It's a different feel, and casting tokens is actually very cool. Okay. In the world of Terranoth, runes figure heavily, so you're actually casting runes down and like scrying the bones, right? So it feels right.
Okay.
What else can you do? Well, I mentioned movement. There are dice. These dice match the color and pattern for different hexes. In the previous version of Runebound, we actually had dice that were etched with symbols.
Right.
And you had to remember what the symbols were to match the spaces on the map. We decided, let's just go simple and clear, and so the mountains look like mountains, and the fields look fields.
Okay.
So, same idea. Roads allow you to move more quickly. We have 4 cities on the map. Right? So another action you can take is you can shop at a city, and there's an entire array of wonderful things that you might find, resources and other items. Spend your gold to buy those when you're shopping in those 4 cities. And then train is an action you can take. So here's something that we have. One way that you develop your character.
Okay.
I'm not letting you ask any questions.
No, you're carrying on here. All I'm going to do is jump in with stupid things. You've got a train in Terranoth?
Hey, this is great. Stop me if at any point.
That's right. New movement technique. Take it to Terranoth. Okay.
We have these cards that you will have. You'll have a hand of cards. It's part of your character stats. These are cards that will allow you to develop over time. And on the top, they show you how many points it will cost for you to bring that skill into play. Here, I would spend two points, and this is a spirit skill. And there are characters that will never gain spirit tokens, so skills match the type of character. There's fighters and there are the usual tropes. But these skill cards are how your character develops over time, and they will remain in front of you and just increase the pool of actions and abilities that you have access to.
Is that for a particular scenario, or do they stay trained?
They stay trained.
For future scenarios as
well.
well.
For the entire game.
For that game.
Right, for that game. And round after round, there's a timer, and that timer will move down the track. every time we go, we see this symbol that will draw from a scenario-specific event deck of events. And this triggers sort of the larger scale events within that scenario that sort of push the story forward. And that's it. Without playing, it's an adventure game. It's unfolding narrative. It's about kind of deciding how you want your character, your specific character to develop over the course of the game. And then just wandering about, really determining for yourself what it is that you want to do. If you want to focus on combat, there are lots of places to go fight. If you want to focus on social interactions, there are lots of opportunities to engage with the people of Terranor. And if you want to adventure, there's spelunking and there's all sorts of things to do as you wander about.
So why make a third edition instead of reprinting? And it sort of comes up with a lot of questions. So same thing, Fury of Dracula, new edition, Mission Red Planet. So what's the impetus for doing this?
Well, we have 3 categories of products. We have proprietary IPs, we've got licensed IPs like Star Wars, and then we have classic games that we believe need to be in print. And the question when we approach any of the 3 categories is, what are we looking to accomplish? And then in this case, we had a game, you mentioned Fury. Fury is a game we believe needs to be in print. But we looked at it and said, well, if we just push the button, and get it out into the channel, with what we have learned, is there anything that we can do to adjust it and refine it?
The first one, your first edition came out 10 years ago.
Sure.
So that's quite a long time.
That is a long time. I say this, I may have said this before, so forgive me. I think game design, I take it to be a language. And as more and more people find this tabletop hobby, and as we design more and more games, as we explore mechanics and ways of engaging the player, of providing an experience for you, that actually pushes forward the language of gaming, right? So when deck building was introduced, right, when Dominion hit, suddenly there was this mechanic that people discovered or rediscovered or recognized as...
It put a name on it.
It put a name on it.
Yeah, it becomes part of the language, as you say.
And it is, and I think there's a symbolic language, right? People are on their digital devices. They're actually being trained in gaming, things that we take for granted. My mother, my grandmother are learning, and they'll eventually, if we put something simple down, they'll actually understand the basics of set collection, or even randomizers, random events. So we look at it and we think very long and hard on what is necessary, and if we can push it forward, we take it forward. Mission Red Planet was altered very slightly. And Bruno came to the offices. There were a couple of minor tweaks. Visually, it was completely redone.
Addition of Phobos, new player. There's all these little things.
Right, they're little, but we don't want to fundamentally change the experience.
Right.
For Runebound, we wanted to revisit what is the classic adventure game experience, and can we sort of launch it forward with what we know. And as an adventure gamer, you're going to see a lot that is familiar. You're going to slide right in. But we think the experience of play and the casting, the tokens, the way your characters develop is really fun and engaging, and fades into the background, gives you what we want on the tabletop.
All right.
All right?
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure lots of people are eager to see what comes out, to curse you for what comes out.
Yeah, but it'll be a great time. Give it a shot if you're at Gen Con, and otherwise read more. We'll talk about mechanically how this differs on the website.
You guys do a great preview unveiling for everything. All sorts of levels, history of what's coming out, what's new in this different aspect. I commend you, because that is, Christian talked about the new website.
Sure.
And you guys do a fantastic job with bringing out that information.
Thank you. The last thing is rules will be available online. We post all the rule books for download, so before you buy, see if it's for you. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right. Fist bump.